Two young mothers were gunned down in Louisville on the same day.
Their killers still on the run. Wednesday night, a pregnant mother of 3 was shot while standing in the parking lot of a market in the Chickasaw neighborhood. Police say 28-year-old Jeremiah Offutt was an innocent bystander hit during an argument between two groups. And hours earlier, 24-year-old Rhodesia Williams was shot while holding hands with her 7-year-old daughter on the way to the bus stop. Police say she was the target of that shooting.
I had to watch my sister lay on that ground and take her last breath, and there was nothing I could do about it.
No arrests have been made in either shooting, but police released these images of the suspect wanted in that bus stop shooting.
We turn now to WDRB's Hayden Rostevsky, sitting down for a live interview with Police Chief Paul Humphrey. Hayden?
Thanks, Gil, and thank you, Chief, for joining us today. We heard calls to action this week from the community, from you, your department, community leaders, even the family members of those victims. Are those calls to action working? Can you talk about the number of tips that have been coming in about these cases?
So I don't have an exact number of tips on these particular cases, but what I'll tell you is that community cooperation is important, and we know that the community cooperation on the bus stop shooting from the previous week is part of what helped us solve that case. And we really need the community's help on this one. I think we have some really good leads. We have a lot of really good information, but what we know is there are witnesses out there who can help us break this case. Both of these cases, actually, and it is a absolute tragedy. You know, I know the mayor mentioned being angry last week, but I tell you, when I watched the video, it's hard to describe, because one, it breaks my heart, but two, it makes me beyond angry, and I feel so horrible for those families that you're talking about, mothers that were lost in front of their kids. Like I could not. How do you put that into words? How do you explain that to a child? What do you do for that child going forward at this point? It's going to be something that we have to solve this as a community.
Moving toward that idea of children witnessing things like this, homicides are not unique to our city. Many cities across the country struggle with high numbers of homicides. However, to have children now repeatedly experience bus stop shootings, that is rare. That is not common in every single city across the United States of America. There are some places where that's not the reality. In fact, it's unheard of. Are the gangs operating in our city the difference maker when it comes to this?
No, I can't say that that's the difference maker. There are gangs in every city, just like they are here, and like you said, there's violent crime in every city, just like it is here. But this is a unique situation, that you have two shootings back to back at the same bus stop. And clearly I think there's something particularly going on, you know, around Village West and that neighborhood and what's going on at that bus stop. And we're gonna do our best to, one, take those people off the street, right? But on the other hand, you're talking about all of these kids that were out there that had to run from gunfire two weeks in a row. And it just absolutely breaks your heart. And we need to make sure that going forward, you know, I've talked about if we're at the point where we have to deal with a juvenile, then it's gone too far. And I can't make excuses and say that that's not an LMPD problem. We need to figure out how to insert ourselves in the system before they ever get to us, and make sure that we are part of the solution of getting to these kids before they end up committing the next violent crime.
That was going to be one of my questions today for you, Chief. What more can you do? How can you reach these kids? We've talked about the parents. They play an important role, and we'll touch on that again a little bit later. We've talked about the judicial system and the important role that it plays. But what more can LMPD do? How do you reach these kids?
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I think when people talk about community-oriented policing, that's part of what you're talking about, is being able to build relationships with the average officer in your neighborhood. And that's difficult to do, but I think all of us at some point have had those kids in our neighborhoods and on our beats that we built relationships with. And how we figure out how to do that on scale, this is something we have to go to the community for. And the community tell us how we do this better, because clearly there is a gap that is not being filled. And I'm not in the business of pointing fingers. I know there's different issues all along the criminal justice system that have to be fixed, but I need to figure out what LMPD can do more, because clearly there's more to be done.
Going back to the gangs, are gangs intentionally recruiting younger individuals because they know that under the laws in our state right now, depending on their age, they will not face as harsh a punishment? Are they using kids as pawns?
I don't know if that is necessarily the case, but I would say, you know, it appears to be so. And a lot of times we're talking about gangs that are running around that are just juveniles. But oftentimes they're found with adults, and we charge those adults with crimes of being with the minors while they're endangering the welfare of a minor committing these crimes. And you know, one of the other things that we're talking about with the Commonwealth and County Attorney's Office is how to use conspiracy charges. Because if you and I go out and we commit a shooting together, it's not just a shooting. It is a different impact. If we go out and we steal cars together, that is a different impact. We are planning on committing crime. This isn't something that just happens because we stumbled upon a fight or anything like that. We're talking about people who are planning to go out and commit crime. And so whatever we can do to make sure that we do keep people in jail as long as they need to be so that they're not a danger to society, we have to explore all those options.
Do you feel like the lack of a juvenile justice facility here in Louisville is contributing to those gaps?
I would definitely say that lack is contributing to it. I mean, if you think about it, and it's a sad state of affairs, but oftentimes the best support that a kid's going to get is when they're inside of an institution. And so we have to make sure that, and I think somebody talked about it the other day, it's not just about locking a kid up. It's about giving them the resources and the support while they're inside that institution. And think about, you know, we have a killer out there, we have a couple of killers out there on the street that are probably juveniles. They're probably kids. And my message would be not to them, because they're not going to turn themselves in, I get that. It would be to everybody who cares about that kid. Everybody around that kid, all their friends, their family, their neighbors, anybody who knows these kids, you need to turn them in, because they're going to get killed. There's only two options for these kids right now. These kids who did these homicides the other day, there's two options. You go to jail, and maybe you have a chance at a successful life down the road after you do your punishment, or you get killed. That's it, and the family needs to know that. And the safest thing for your child is to turn their kid in.
Talking about the parents' involvement in this, turning back to that, is there a way to hold these parents accountable under the law? Have you tried to do so? If so, are there hurdles? We're just wondering what's possible. We're hearing from a lot of our viewers at home saying that it's time to hold the parents accountable. We've seen it happen in other states in situations of mass shootings at schools and such. Have you guys had these talks? Have you gone down that road?
Yes, we absolutely have had these talks about what circumstances would trigger us to charge a parent with kids involved in these types of situations. And so we are exploring those options of what we can do. But there's also the other side, right? We do have parents that are, let's just call it what it is, they're horrible people, either facilitating, allowing, or helping their kids participate in some of this violent crime. They got into it sometimes because of their parents' lifestyle. And those are the parents that we would be looking at for that type of stuff. But there's the other end of it also, is that we do have parents out here who are at their wits' end. They know their kids involved in things that they shouldn't be involved in. And those are the parents that we really need to get our hands on, because we need to figure out a way to give them the resources to take care of their kid before their kid does commit that next violent crime.
All right, Chief, thanks for your candor and your honesty today on this issue that isn't going away anytime soon, and like you said, will require everyone, the whole community, to get involved.
Thank you.